feel better after my week off of posting on YouTube, but I don't like to lie. Well, I can't. I don't lie. But would have said she would have liked to said she loved the man, but she didn't like to lie. I don't really consider it like that couple at Walmart that I talked with their little beautiful daughter. I said, I don't lie, and people, yeah, oh, that's not true. We've monitored your whole life. You've lied. The Swartzes are not in my basement, Mr. Hitler and Himmler. Okay, I don't lie. Okay, I don't have a basement, but if I did have a basement, the Swartzes would be in it, right? Okay. The Strausses would be next door. No, they're not here. I'm not any way, shape, or form Jewish. But yeah, no. So yeah, no. I don't lie. I may have to maneuver to avoid abuse for people from liars. Okay, but I don't lie, and I've had to tiptoe and tap dance around abusive people. And you get people in the Mormon church screaming, What about when we did the shop thing at Musicland? No, that's just the good old fashioned Guy Williams and Brian Bedford being boop deep don't whistle stop. Yeah, no, it's not lying. That's just you know, out of the night when the full moon is bright. It's me, Barrios Primero Homes. Okay. What was it? Remember Jerry Aviar when we walked into Skaggs and they had the Brocs and all the stuff up front, and Jerry would always come. Jerry's a bodybuilder, right? Jerry'd come in, look, free samples, and he'd grab a couple and he'd grab them and eat them, and no one would say anything, and no one would arrest him for shoplifting. I was like, how come he gets to do that? Well, he can bench press 400 pounds. Oh, that makes sense. He was just joking around, but yeah, he could do it, right? Other people, skinny kid comes in, tries that. You're gonna go to jail for shoplifting, right? You get people like that too. Like when I broke 5 federal laws in 2 minutes during the Obama administration in Cochise County. A woman came up to me and told me that she was contraband. Okay. She was adorable. She asked if I could take her to my place and let her stay the night there. And I was, oh no, Amy, she'd clean the house. I was like, no, I don't want you to clean up Amy's mess. Amy makes more messes. I don't even like cleaning up Amy's mess. But so like, they're going, no, I couldn't do that to you. And besides, I can make decisions for my own, but I can't put my wife and my kids into the same precarious position. So I'm sitting there, and what I'm telling her, I sit there, and my friend Mark, who's, like I said, he's 6'5", 285 pounds, works out 6 days a week. He's Apache and German, okay? He has a big Fu Manchu and long hair. He looks like a big Apache Viking, And, and like I said, he has a scar from here to here where two German men tried to slit his throat in a German prison because he was a quote-unquote drug mule that then later got a job with the CIA to help, and that's how he was able to be an artist and live in Cochise County and have a good life with people that took care of him, because he did some things to help some people out, because in his core, he's a good person. And I knew that right away. When I met him, we became friends instantly, scared Amy to death. My ex-wife was terrified of him. And he made me uncomfortable once. Last time he dropped me off in his Bronco. He sat there and said, I don't want you to trust anybody, not even me. And I was like, okay. But I don't want to live my life that way. But Jesus told me the same thing in prayer. Said, who do you want me to trust? That little voice in your head that's me? Yeah, that's it. Jesus. Jesus. Okay. That's a horrible way to get through life. So that's not true. That's not true at all. That's not true. You can trust that people have good intentions. Okay, but they're afraid because they have an attachment to their finite existence. Okay. I got banned for a week for being critical of the richest man in the world's project to go out into space. Right? I was critical of it, very critical of it. Well, because it makes me mad. We're doing things wrong on planet Earth, and yet we're trying to go out into space, Like I told the football players from New Mexico State, And the one receiver that apparently can't catch the ball laughed when I told him I jumped 64 inches in the air and was the fastest person on the planet when I was a kid. He didn't believe me. He was laughing at me. He thought I was making it up. And I was like, I followed him and I said, it doesn't matter. I said, if I ran under a 4 flat 40 when I was 16 and jumped over 64 inches when I'm 15, it doesn't matter anyway. We're still not living the perfect commands of Jesus Christ to save us all from mass murder over money. So it doesn't matter. Okay. They showed me some videos of Steve Francis and Baron Davis doing all these wickety whack plays and stuff like that. And it's like, yeah. They were pretty neat and stuff like that. I rarely did plays like that. Usually it was just blow right by them and then hand the ball off real softly it was like SportsCenter. When I played ball, when somebody punched me in the mouth, Charlie and his mom said, we should punch him in the mouth for every game, have somebody punch him, he'll kill him. When I had enough, it was just, and like the SportsCenter, the guy who makes the diving catch, Earl sees it get hit, runs, catches it in strides, and goes and sits in the dugout and waits to go on and then, choke up on the bat and run around the bases real fast because I was skinny. And that's how I played baseball. And it was so efficient, it never really looked spectacular unless, of course, you knew speed and you knew the other, Like last night I was watching that junior kid from Brazil. And I was like, okay, he needs to practice more on his passing. He was so much better when he was younger than everybody else. He didn't have to pass very much. And now once he gets past and these people can slow him down, his passes are off the line and inefficient because he's moving so fast and he doesn't know how to control himself to get a pass to. And the main thing that you should do when you blow by other people in a sport is realize they're all going to rush to stop you. And you have to be a very adept, willing, knowing passer, Last night I was connecting to the kids in New Mexico State in the barn and saying, like with shooting or passing, because the quarterback from San Diego is a neat kid. It's less about form and it's more about aim and touch. Okay. You don't believe me? Patrick Mahomes. Okay. It's more about aim and touch than it is about form because you're running. And you have these big guys trying to knock you down. So the most important thing to focus on when you practice is aim and touch. That's how I was so good at basketball and so good at Well, I could have played quarterback. I can't throw it. When I was young, I couldn't throw it more than 40 yards. Okay? But I was faster than anybody else on the turf. And aim and touch was spot on. And so, if you have the fastest guy playing quarterback, you don't have to take the top off the defense. The defense is going to be like, shit, what if he runs? And then as soon as you only have to throw a 30, 20, 30, 40-yard pass to take the top off the defense because they're worried Lamar's going to go. And then you just I can throw it like a dot. I can throw a dot from here 30 yards. And if I have to sling it, it'll get there quicker. But he's already 5-10 yards behind you because you came up to get me, right? And so it's just sports, right? And stuff. But you just got to understand how things work. You don't have to be the best at everything to be better than most people at just about anything. Okay. But we're still not living the perfect commands of Jesus Christ and the affirmation of Muhammad and the validation of Haile Selassie and the example of Joseph Smith. And so Muhammad was the affirmation that got corrupted by violent tribalism liars. Haile Selassie did in the 20th century. He was the validation to all scientific community studying. So what are religious guys? He did it before me. Okay. In rabbinic tradition, They were studying him, and they went and studied him, and oh, he can't be for real. And they were horrible to him. Yeah, and I guess in a lot of ways they were just as horrible to my beautiful Haile Selassie as they were to me. That's how he was able to help me with all the bad dreams. They come in on me, and he comes in prayer and says, woman that judges you by the sign of her penis is a whore. What do you care what she thinks of you? And I never had that problem. Amy was the only one I had that problem with. Measuring my genitalia size to other men. The rest of the women were always like, you were better than the other guy. I feel like I'm the queen of the world when I'm with you. It's like, why don't you stay with me? Because you don't want to make money. Or in my early cases, it was because their family would not allow it because she was brown and I was peach. And her family would not allow her to get married and have kids with a peach guy. And they were very racist. But the girls were real excited that I was attracted to them. Because, oh my gosh, he's gorgeous, he's intelligent. If you don't believe I was gorgeous, you ought to see the pictures of me when I was a kid. My mom and dad both looked like movie stars. So yeah, I was a cute kid. I was a very cute kid. And but I was very abused. I look like I do today because of jealous people, not because of selfish decisions that I made. That's what I explained to the kid, from New Mexico State. The other three, the safety, the linebacker, and the quarterback, especially the safety, he got it. He walked away when his teammates started laughing because he's like, and you don't disrespect people like that, even if they're lying, And like I told the quarterback, I said, you ain't Jennifer Lopez. I'm trying to get alone in bed and get sexual comfort from you. Well, why would I lie to you? Just like I told Marty Bottinger, And besides, you can't, like me and Patrick always say, you can't lie on your dick. So the only reason you would lie to somebody would be to get something you want. People tell me that you really know the right thing to say, especially when you're trying to get your way. But then you negate all honor and truthfulness and faithfulness in relationships, like Tupac Shakur said, right? If you do stupid things to destroy, your relationships with selfishness, then you have no meaningful relationships at all. Okay. So, and I was kind of upset because I'm like, guys, vilifying Elon Musk is categorically wrong on multiple levels. Okay? It's wrong to say that he's the worst person in the world at manipulating people with technology for money. It's wrong for people to think or say that. Okay? It's wrong to use technology to manipulate people with money. That's fundamentally, we know that from Jesus, we know that from Muhammad, we know that from the Krishna, the Buddha, so on and so forth, right? We've known that for possibly from understandings of Zoroaster, probably maybe as human beings for maybe over 10,000 years. As far as, relative forms of communications on a mass scale where people have been cave writing and papyrusing and praying and things like that. It might be somewhere up to that. I'm not sure. I'm not an archaeologist. But, when you look at Clovis, man, and 7,000 years ago, I see why a lot of religious people say that the earth is only 6,000 years old. Because their earth begins when they start painting on their cave walls with their poo-poo, right? Everybody knows that, right? With your kiss, the world begins. Your spring to me, all things to me. Your life itself. Oh, what like a leaf gleams true you a tree. Oh, my darling, cling to me. For my love is like the wind and wild as the wind. Anybody else really like Johnny Mathis? You don't? You need to acquire some good taste buds. You touch me, I hear the sound of mandolins. You kiss me, and with your kiss the world begins. You're a spring to me, all things. It's a really good song. Go listen to him. It's probably like Percy Faith Orchestra or somebody like that, or Henry Mancini. I don't know, but somebody for really good orchestra. Yeah, it's choice, right? So. Johnny Mathis, haven't? You should, right? But we're still not living the Lord's Prayer. I know. Okay, but the nice thing is when we are living the Lord's Prayer, you're going to have time to sit and listen to him. And you won't have to go online and have everybody look at your face and say, please like and subscribe and share. It helps me more than you know. No, because we're still not living the Lord's Prayer, you bloody fucking idiot. I love you, moron. It's like, come on. No, and that one kid, the receiver at New Mexico State, he sits there and I told him, I showed him my melanoma. I told him that I, got chemically poisoned with the people at the soup kitchens that migrate here. I stood up to protect migrants with my very life when no one else publicly would do it since 2009 off social media out of Fort Huachuca. Then came here and they kept abusing me. And he looks at me and goes, how do I know you're not a false prophet? I sat there and I said, we're not living the Lord's Prayer. I could be the best athlete in the history of the world, and it won't matter. And then I told him all the things I had sacrificed and did to try to protect other people from being abused through genocide operations. And he looks at me and goes, how do you know you're a false prophet? And I said, you know the false prophet when you hear him. Give me my money. I need more money. If you need stuff to live, you need to give me money for it because I own it. You know the false prophet when you hear him. And he goes, see, there you are asking for money. How do I know you're not the false prophet? I was like, I don't even want to give you a library card or a driver's license. And you better learn to listen real quick or you're going to drop every football. You're going to even have difficulty catching a cold. I didn't say it, but I was thinking it. I'm like, dang. Tony, what's up? I mean, I'm sitting there, with the kid from San Diego and the kid from Dallas and the safety going, okay, they have to go. It's like with me, with Lacey Childers going from San Antonio to Wichita Falls with Carl's Country Kitchen and Klein's Country Kitchen. It's like the coach's staff probably gets together. Y'all have to go with this kid and kind of like get him to, he makes bad decisions. He might end up being a good receiver for us that can catch a pass and hopefully not very many colds in La Futura, right? So I'm sitting there going, damn. The other kid's right on the ball, right on the beam, So I'm feeling really good about the quarterback room, the safeties and the linebackers. The receivers, only a peewit judges a man by the group and a group by the man. So I'm thinking, okay, he's got good linebacker, a good strong safety, and a good quarterback that all can listen and understand and digest information pretty well. Okay. And we got all summer till season starts. So they'll take care of it. They'll sit him down. Do you hear? Okay. Analyze. Yeah, I haven't listened to lots of guru. No, guru's mad. Don't listen to people that are mad because of violent sex cult tribalism incessantly. Just listen to don't throw the baby out with the bathwater, but listen to the things that they're critical about, right? We'll talk later today about my interactions and conversations. This is just more to get back in touch with people because you know how much Earl loves people and hates shopping. And but after this one, we'll make one on the difference between artificial intelligence and quantum computing. And there is a radical difference. The whole reason why quantum computing had to be invented was to control what people were doing with technology. And artificial intelligence, all artificial intelligence really is, guys, is like, are you talking to a bot? You're talking to a human being that invented a robot that acts like them and responds and reacts like them. So quantum computing was built to isolate, contain, and deal with the people that invents a bot. And it's not the bot. You're not arguing with a bot. You're arguing with an asshole who invented a program to fuck with you. And so they do that to get people to see who's, able to discern between reality. It's basically a lot of this stuff is set up by corporations to basically, quote, like that guy said about, blind motocross racing. It sounds like they're trying to thin out the herd. Doesn't sound like it is. We are still in the process of very bad genocidal operations because we're not living the Lord's Prayer. And you can hit it with a stick, it's not going to change. Quantum computing is aware of this, but quantum computing, okay, is a computer that, if you take a plane and you blow up someone's quantum computer on the other side of the world, then you have more control over their AI. Okay? Do you understand? And so when people have quantum computing, they're able to better try to control their own AI. But the thing is when you're doing things wrong with AI, quantum computing is getting more intelligent than the people that invented the AI. Okay? Because it can do math and science and other things better than you can. Okay. AI is manipulated by human beings and can only be as good as the people that use it. Quantum computing, you cannot manipulate quantum computing. No. Okay? Trust me. Okay, guys? I love you, all right? Peace out.